fixing the lock on the back door of a Mercedes Benz E500. The problem I'm having, the door simply does not lock or unlock, either with the button or the key. You have to manually lock the door. So this is different to the fault in some of the older Mercedes, where they have the jackhammer lock. It's not that problem. And we can't fix it with a generic lock that straps onto the outside. I've seen some people do that on the front door of some C-Class. Doesn't work on this one. So we'll go through replacing the actuator, also repairing the actuator. $30 fix. This is difficult. Why would you do it? Well, the part alone from Mercedes costs $1,000. For me, it's either put up with it or a do-it-yourself fix. So in this video, we'll cover replacing this with a $30 AZGIANT motor. There's another $30 for rivets and tools. Link to all those parts in the description. You will also need a long T20. I'll go through that later. And some special rivets. There's a little cover in here that conceals the screws. First we'll take that off. There's some hooks at the bottom here. So there's these bottom hooks to pop out, and then a couple of top hooks, plus one at the end. Okay, so now we can see those two T30 torque screws. We can now pop out the various clips holding the door card in. I'll start in this corner. Next is disconnecting the connectors behind the door card. And we'll take out these wires. There's a speaker cable clipped in here. Pulling firmly on the plastic. I don't see any tabs. The door lock cable, 2 tabs on here. Squeeze at the bottom and pull. The door handle cable. Before I completely remove the door card, I need to get the window in the right position. Remove that rubber grommet, and we need to get access to a bolt to release the window. So at this point we still need the battery connected to drop the window down. Drop that window down until we can see that torque screw. We can access it there. Now, as far as I can tell, there aren't any airbags mounted in the back door itself, but there is this impact sensor right here. So if you're disconnecting anything to do with that, you risk setting off the airbag. So if you need to touch anything related to that, you want the battery disconnected. You want to disconnect the battery after you have the window in the right position. And we'll disconnect these last 2 connectors going to the door card itself. We'll leave the green one alone. Clip underneath here, this door card is now free. We'll release the screw here and then we can pull the window up. This one is a Torx T30. I'm just going to loosen that, I won't remove it completely. So that Torx screw is releasing this rubber clamp, and it clamps onto this piece of glass here, right along the bottom. That screw undone, you can pull the window up manually, run some tape over it. The exterior door handle needs to come off. How is that held in? So this is where we need some special tools. So to reach all the way in to this bolt holding the door handle, you need a really long Torx T20. This one's about 40 centimeters long total, with about 30 centimeters here. You'll need something at least 16 centimeters long to reach in there. I'd recommend at least 20 centimeters long. Now you're fishing blind, so if I shine the light on this hole, I can just see that T20 Torx. And of course, once you put this in here, you can't see anything. So fish around. Okay, I've got it. Okay, so there's this little hole that screw is feeding into. We don't need to completely remove it, but we need to unlock that pin so it pulls out. Make sure you've got something blocking that lock. Okay, you don't want to get caught out on this. The door closed. There's another T20 here, and another one hiding behind here. There's a little electrical connector in here to come out. So here's the electrical connector. You're lifting the tab off so you can pull it out. This inner metal plate needs to come out. The door lock is actually attached to this metal plate. The metal plate is riveted in, just for fun. So we want to drill these out. Not all of them though. We're leaving that one in place, leave that one in place, and leave that one in place. Those ones are holding the window regulator. Leave those alone. Just these ones with the recess around them. Drill those out. I'll tap that metal shaft in a little way with a punch. And a 9mm drill bit I'm using. I just want to drill the head off it. What size rivets do you need? Let's call that 7mm. 7mm hole. Head of the rivet is 11mm in diameter. Two pieces of sheet metal that we're clamping together here. Together they're only a couple of millimeters thick. So it is quite an odd size rivet. It's quite a big rivet, simply because the diameter of the hole is so big. Another Torx T30 holding the lock in. Looks like it's got some Loctite on there. Two T30 Torx on this end. Appear to have Loctite on them. Now that steel panel should come out with the lock attached. I'll put a cloth down here to avoid scratching the paint. I need to get this loom over the top. Not easy to remove this loom, so I'm going to leave it. I've disconnected this speaker cable, undone this clip here, and released this grommet so I can get it over the top of the door card. And I've got a box down here to lean it on. Next, I think I'll take this off. Let's see if that makes life easier. I'll start with this electrical connector here. Push down on the tab here and pull up. And we'll remove this wire from the clip here. One little clip here we push in with the screwdriver. Next is removing the lock from this panel. To gain access to the three clips holding it to the panel, I need to remove this plastic cover, 3 rivets. Drilled the heads off those 3 rivets with a 8mm drill. Now we can gain access to these. More parts to order. Okay, so what size rivets to hold this shield on? This hole is 5mm diameter. The head of the rivet that came off was 9mm wide, and you're clamping 2 thick pieces of plastic together about 5mm thick. Normal size rivet. You can get in there, clamp that together. To remove this one, you pull this grey tab down and pull it out. These 2 cables, remove the grommets and pull them through. They're a bit of an odd connector. So what I'm trying is a T25 that bites in and enables me to twist while I push. So I need to push these through without damaging them. I'm using a 9mm socket. It was a bit hard to film that. There's this little plug that you need to push through from this side. That pops out. Again, wedging a T25 in there allows you to twist while you push. So popping them out from this side. Once all 3 are popped out this way, we then need to push these 3 domes that way. Putting a 9mm socket over there just compresses it enough to be able to push through. Remove the cable going from the actuator, pull that back out. Let's try removing this white nylon piece from the assembly. So I'm just going to nip the edge off some of these clips. Not all of them, just a few of these places where I know I'm going to break that if I try and flex that out of the way. And with that cover off, I can then gain access to these cables to release them. Take some of these cables out of the way. Alright, that's the easy bit done. Now, can we get inside this without destroying it? Looks like there's 2 or maybe 3 pressed rivets that run all the way through and hold it together. So they come through to here. So I'll try drilling these pressed heads off. Starting with the small drill bit, and I'll work up to a larger size. Those 2 drilled out. Pry that off. Yep, just over 4mm diameter. Yeah, it was a bit tricky drilling this one because it tends to spin. Just cutting some pieces of plastic off an old takeaway container. That'll just hold those tabs out. Let's see if it'll come apart. Ooh, it's feeling springy. Is it going to fly apart in a way I cannot reassemble it? Yes. The spring. The trick to get back in place. It doesn't look like the teeth have worn out or anything like that. Alright, so we've got 2 motors here. Which one's bad? 9 volts across it, and see if we can get any movement out of it. Yep, so that one seems okay. This motor's a little less accessible. Okay, I think I've worked out the drive motors, so 3.1 ohms across those 2 pins. About the same there. So I'd say those 2 pins are driving this motor, and these 2 pins I can't connect directly to the motor here. What do I get there? About 2 ohms. If I connect 9 volts, just 9 volt battery. That's all I'm doing. Nothing, not putting any big current through here. Okay, that one responds nice and quick. The 2 for this motor, it's pretty slow to respond. It does respond, but it's pretty weak. I'm guessing this motor is the troublemaker, like the much more difficult one to get out. So I'll see if I can remove this. It's got this one pin holding it in. It runs that on. Yep. Okay. To lift this up. Now you can see those 2 contact pins that go through into the motor. So if my suspicions are correct, this motor's weakened. I can certainly see a lot of darkness in there. Here's the one I got off AliExpress. AZGIANT. And that's where those two contact pins go in. Yeah, looks like a pretty good match. Yeah, okay, so obviously ohms isn't telling me a lot. Measurement I get depends on the position of the motor. Let's see if they respond the same way to a bit of voltage. 9-volt battery. Yeah, okay. 9 volts on that one. All right, well, that's enough for me. I've measured 9 volts on that battery. This one's obviously very weak. What was it, about $25? It does have this specially made driver on here. I'll give that a little bit of a clean up in there, clean those contacts. Now I'll try and slide this new motor in without bending these pins. Make sure you slide it in the right way around. The side with the two contacts. Give it a quick test before I put it back in. Yep. Certainly those contacts have made contact. Drop this back into place. Now that I've pushed it all the way in, there seems to be a bit of resistance to the movement. It doesn't move with 9 volts. Try it with 12 volts. Yep, that's turning okay. Okay, we'll drop this sprocket back in. Of course, it would have been in the unlocked position when I took it apart. Okay, I think that's unlocked. How do I get this bloody spring back in place for whatever this does? So it sits on this shaft. You can see where it's pressing on there. Hoping that it was pushing on there before. Careful not to bend any of these over while you're putting this on. And as I slide this piece down over the top, this angle here is going to compress the spring. Okay, it's going to push that floating arm down and create the tension. So, yep, see how that goes on top there, and I'm pushing down. See, it's compressing the spring. Check all those clips are on the side they're meant to be on. Now let's just check this operates. Next trick's getting this back on. When I was taking this apart, I assumed I'd be knocking these pins out and replacing them with bolts. That did not go to plan. There's the kitty lock switch. Check it on your one. I believe down is kitty lock off. Definitely want that off. If I don't get one of my cable connections right, I could end up with the door locked, right, with no way of unlocking it. So I'm going for down position. Double check on yours. Let's put the short one back on. And the short blue one. Check that cable action works. Check. Probably the main thing you're checking for is that it springs back into place. And this one. Also that it is essentially unlocked, that you can pull them. Put the nylon cover back on and check all those tabs are in place. Okay, reinstallation. It clips in. Flush, plastic flush against the steel. It takes a bit of force. There has to be a better way to put these in. I cannot get a clamp around to there, so I am pulling these through with a bolt. Drilled a hole through a little plug there so I can run this bolt right through it. Nut on the other side and draw that little rivet all the way through. Nut on the other side with a washer. Feed those cables through. Those grommets in place. This cover back on. And the door handle bracket, we'll call it. First we'll put this cable in place. And next we'll slide it onto here. And the connector. I mentioned now would be a good time to replace your speakers if they're blown, because guess what? They're riveted in from the inside. Those 3 screws go into the door lock. I'm putting a little bit of blue Loctite on there. That will get the lock in position. Note this, the head on this one is a little larger than the other two. Those 2 little T20s. There's the little pin we need to aim for with the handle. I got there eventually. You wiggle in this in and it has to slot forward that way. Clunk. Once it's slotted into place, pull the door handle out, and then you can slide this one in. And let's go fishing. That trajectory. Time to get that door card on so we can test this before those rivets go in and the window goes back on. I want to connect that door handle and the little lock. This guy. There's a little blue dot below the blue connector and so on. Ready for the test run. First check, make sure not only do these cables pull out, but also that they spring back. Same with the door handle. Do not touch the window switch. Okay, here we go. Yes. Ooh. that was incredible. Amazing, wasn't it? Time to put those rivets in. Okay, let's drop that window back into place. We'll take these off and lower this down. This tape I'm using is like a giant electrical tape. Here we go, that's what I want to see. The glass is dropped down into the bracket. I'll tighten that torque screw up and put the door card back on. You guys can use your imagination on that one. Ignition on, does the window work? It does. Cool. Here. Open. Easy. Okay, let's try the remote. Let's go works as well. And yes. Well, I must say that was a bloody difficult fix, wasn't it, for just a door lock? Mercedes Benz did not design this to be easy. I'd hate to think what the dealer charges to do this job. If they're quoting you big dollars, you can see why. I would hate to have to redo this if it didn't work, with all of that mucking around with rivets and whatnot. So just be aware there is the risk if you do this and you can't get it back together right. You know, you're leaving your car not just unlocked, but potentially so the door doesn't even close, right? If you very rarely use the back door in your car, you know, you don't have kids, whatever, you might just put up with a deadlock, right? Glad I did it. It's done for a minimal cost. Car's fully functional, doors lock and unlock. I don't have to worry about forgetting to manually lock the car and leaving it open. And I am glad I replaced just that little electric motor. Ordering the entire actuator, my concern was ordering the right part. There's different parts: front, rear, left, right, keyless go, not keyless go, different years, different models. The motor should work on all of those. You might even consider, if you are replacing the whole actuator, buy one of those motors as well as a plan B, in case you get halfway through and realize you've got the wrong part. I'll leave a link to the special Mercedes Benz rivets that you're meant to use. I didn't actually use those special Mercedes Benz rivets. You need a heavy duty gun to put those in. I've gone with the cheaper option and sticky tape some washers on the inside there so I could use a 5mm. First time for me doing this job on the Mercedes. Do leave a comment if you've got any tips. I'm sure others would benefit from your experience.